Welcome to the Envelopes Emmy Contender Series. I'm Yvonne Villarreal. Each episode we'll talk with actors behind some of your favorite TV performances this season. On today's episode, we're talking to Dakota Fanning, who plays Sarah Howard in the TV series The Alienist. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, for the uninitiated, The Alienist is an adaptation of Caleb Carr's best-selling novel.
Yes.
About a serial killer on the loose in Gilded Age, New York.
That's right.
And as I mentioned, you play Sarah Howard.
I do.
Had you any idea how long Hollywood was trying to make this happen? Like an adaptation?
I know. I didn't, but once I got involved with the project and was talking to, everyone that was a part of that process, I would hear the stories of like the 10 years it took and the different incarnations and obviously the initial desire was to make the book into a film. So they tried to, make that happen for a while. And then it kind of, I think, is the perfect time to have done it now because we have this world of limited series and the things that are happening on television are so exciting. And I just can't imagine telling this story in 2 hours. It just like it needed 10 hours to be able to kind of deep dive into the different relationships and dynamics. And so yeah, I'm selfishly glad that it didn't happen until now, so I could be part of it.
I read somewhere you were born the year the book came out.
Yes.
Had you been looking to do TV? Like, were you getting a lot of scripts about TV in this age of peak TV where there's a lot of material out there?
It was definitely something that I was open to. I found myself watching so much more television than films and also just seeing the material and subject matter that was being explored on television I felt was a little bit just different. Just like more risks I felt were being taken and different point of views were being explored, and so I definitely had conversations with, the people that I work with about that I would be open. I would be open to it. So this kind of came to me, and the timing was right. It was a little scary because it was 7 months in Budapest, Hungary, and I was a little nervous for that because doing a film is not usually a 7-month commitment. I hadn't been away from home for that long in a long time. So that was the thing I was most nervous for.
Did you stay in a hotel or an apartment?
I had an apartment and I kind of...
Did it feel like House Hunters International?
Yes, it did. It totally did because I had a little trip to Budapest a couple weeks before we started shooting where I did some costume fittings and I got to go around and like choose my apartment and it did. It felt like House Hunters International and it got me really excited and I kind of left my life behind and jumped right in and I didn't want to leave in the end. I like cried hysterically.
Really? Yeah. Did you sort of feel like I could be a different person out here? Like I could pretend a little bit when I walk the streets and stuff?
It was a little bit like that. There was something, because I didn't know anyone going in. I had not worked with Daniel Bruhl or Luke Evans or any of the other actors or directors. Like no one, we didn't know each other. So it really was like this weird fresh start. And in my life at home, like I kind of have the same friends that I've had for a really long time. And so I got to make all these new friends and like people, getting to know people from scratch. It was really fun. And it did. I felt like I could kind of be anybody.
Well, and obviously it's an intense schedule to shoot a TV series,
Yes.
but were you able to sort of come up with a routine or like have your go-to coffee spot? Or
Oh yeah, that was what I wanted to find right away. Like I got very comfortable, had my routine, and for a while in the beginning when we were shooting the first 3 episodes because they're directed by the same director, Jakob Verbruggen, and I kind of tricked myself into thinking that was it, like we were kind of making those as a film, and then you do the table read for episode 4 and 5, who are directed by James Hawes, and it's like, and then by the end we were doing 3 through 10 at the same time, little pieces and jumping around, and so that was a new experience for me. But it was actually kind of exciting, and you had to be prepared in a different way to be able to remember where the character's been and where it's going, and doing episode 8 and episode 6 in the same day. You know, it kind of exercised a different part of all of our brains as actors, I think.
How big was the set? Like recreating New York,
Yeah.
19th century New York.
Yes.
What was that like walking that set?
Oh my God. Well, the interesting part is, so there was a backlot built that was a lot of, it was downtown New York. Like, it was huge. There's a lot of streets. You can get a little bit lost in it. So that was incredible. And we had amazing built sets on sound stages. But also filming in Budapest, there were actual locations that we also could use that kind of matched up with that Gilded Age, New York City, some of these beautiful buildings in Budapest. So some of the locations were actually real, which that was cool too. But the sets that were created were, I think, some of the most incredible sets I've ever worked on.
Yeah, because the show looks stunning.
Yeah, I think that, and just watching the show too now as a viewer, like, and seeing how amazing they were in real life, but how they also translate on the screen. It's been really exciting, and we definitely didn't take it for granted when we were there.
Well, and Sarah is the secretary to Commissioner Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes.
She's the first woman hired by the New York Police Department, and she has ambitions of being the first woman police detective.
Yes.
How would you describe who Sarah Howard is?
I would describe Sarah Howard as someone who is really pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable for a woman in 1896. I think that, you know, even the title of secretary to the police commissioner kind of annoys her a little bit, you know, and you can kind of tell that she's like, she'll take it, you know, for now. But even that is like, she has, so you can tell she has aspirations beyond that. She's come from privilege, and she knows that, but you see her deep compassion for people right away, and her ability to accept ideas that are outrageous or too progressive for the time, and that's when Sarah and Dr. Chrysler, who Daniel plays, when they meet, you know, she says that she's a fan of his work, and even that line alone, knowing that she's read his work and is a fan and an admirer of his, shows something about her willingness to learn new things and to not kind of just go with the norm. But she's pushing the boundaries of society, and she's not married, not looking to be married, doesn't have any children, not looking to have any children at this time, and that was really unusual. And so she's facing kind of looks from her peers in her social circles, and of course looks from her male peers in the workplace, and you see pretty early on the kind of harassment.
Yes, she goes through a lot of harassment. I mean, in the first episode, it's sort of almost eerie how it's sort of ripped from the headlines of today.
Yeah.
Where, you know, she's confronted with a coworker masturbating, right?
Yes. Well, exposing himself.
Yes. But I mean, like, was it? I mean, this was shot before some of these revelations came out, but
it was. I think for the purposes of the story, I think we didn't want Sarah's position at the police department to sound too rosy, because it wasn't. You know, oh, she's the first female. It's like, oh, they must have been progressive and willing to hire a woman. It's like, actually, no. You know, she still faced a lot of abuses from the male detectives, and so that is shown early on, and that was important for her story to kind of set up what she has to face, and how the tough exterior that she has to show to be taken seriously. And then it was sort of as the show was preparing to start airing, and as we started to do press for it, the actors, kind of all of the sort of news was breaking about, you know, this happening in the past, but also now. And so we, you know, I especially playing this character was asked a lot about that. And on one hand, you want your show to be timely and relevant and, speak to the modern audience. But, it's unfortunate that it has to be for this reason, because we are a show that's set in 1896, and you would hope that things would have progressed and changed massively since then, and of course we have in
Some
areas
ways, yeah.
and in some ways, but in some ways I think we've been shown that we haven't. So, but I hope that Sarah's story resonates with, contemporary viewers, as, that it confronts them in a way of kind of understanding why it hasn't changed by seeing such a period story be so similar to now.
We'll talk a little bit more about sort of finding the balance of what she challenges and what she doesn't, and how did it sort of get you thinking about how you would have responded, or did it?
Right. I think that, especially in the beginning, as this group is coming together, this unofficial kind of investigative team is coming together, and the subject matter of these murders is gruesome at times. And so Luke's character, John Moore, is constantly in the beginning saying, like, gentlemen, there's a lady in the room, like, don't say gentles, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, that's, and you see her eventually snap and say, like, you have to stop doing that. If I'm going to be a part of this, then, I'm perfectly capable of hearing this. I'm not too delicate to hear this information, and I'm here because I want to be here. I'm not being forced to be here for once in my life. You know what I mean? It's kind of something that she's taking ownership of. So we see that. But also, again, I think it was important to me that Sarah's story wasn't too progressive, that the boundaries were still, that we showed those boundaries in subtle ways throughout. So there is a moment where one of the Isaacsons, who they're detectives at the police department, and they're both Jewish, and so they're being sort of persecuted for their religion in a different way. So they kind of, oftentimes Sarah and the Isaacsons are being looked down upon for different reasons. But there's one time where one of them says to her, this is to a woman, this is not for the weaker sex. And she doesn't, you see the kind of shock and pain, or I hope you do, at least in my acting,
flinching,
but
yeah.
you see the flinch, but that's a time that she doesn't challenge it, because it's still, even though Sarah is strong and capable and all of those things, I didn't want her to be all the time, because there are moments where she knows and knows a battle that she can't kind of win, and so you kind of see the pain that causes her in that moment. And I think that was important to also be a part of her story, and then you see how then that affects the next time that she deals with a comment, or I wanted to have all of that be in there. So
do you have a favorite line? I feel like there's so many lines she says that could be like just on every woman's signature in an email.
Right.
I'll read you one,
Okay.
which is like, I'm going to use this anytime someone crosses me. So like, just take note. Where is it? I am Miss Howard, an employee of the New York Police Department. You will please accord me the respect that my position demands.
Yes.
It's like,
She was getting Sarah, and she was not having it. She was not having it. No one was Theodoring or Teddying Police Commissioner Roosevelt. Yeah, totally. And that's like one of the first things that the character Sarah says in episode 1.
right, to Luke Evans'
Luke
character.
Evans, and because there's a familiarity there, because Luke's character and my character are old family friends. So he's known her since she was a child. So there's like twofold thing going on. He's patronizing her as little Sarah, who he's known, and also, she's also taking it as, you wouldn't do this to a male counterpart who was, working in my position.
Well, and you majored in women's studies at New York University, right?
Yes, I still attend New York University.
Okay.
I go to Gallatin, and you kind of create your own major. So I've done a lot of independent studies that are sort of film related, and I like to think about the portrayal of women in film also. So
How has that translated into the types of, like, one, what is it like being in those types of classes? Like, does it enrage you to see what some of that stuff has been
what
like?
I think has been one of the most interesting things about some of my studies has been watching like films from the 40s, like 30s and 40s, like screwball comedies in particular, where you see women having such a more important role and in those films than I see nowadays, you know, like, and you would think that it would be the opposite. So I see like how we've kind of gone back. Like there was like this really progressive time in some of these films that I've watched, and then I see how we've gone a little bit back. I mean, I think it's affected, it's affected me similar to what I was saying earlier, like how we're still seeing the same female roles in films. And of course there are
Exceptions
to that rule, and but you still see the same male gaze or the girlfriend role, the kind of, I don't know, you still see that kind of similarity to now.
How about, let's talk a little bit about the joys and the horrors of 19th century clothing for women.
Oh Lord, yeah.
I imagine you're sick of sleeves, but I don't know. But like on a serious note, like how that sort of speaks to the experience of being a woman at that time.
I think that the key word is restriction, and I think that women were being not only restricted in their clothing, it was, a whole metaphor for the restrictions that society was putting on them. I mean, in terms of me as an actor, it was very helpful to wear such authentic clothes because it just puts you in a different headspace. But it's work. I mean, like there's another person who has to physically dress you. Like you cannot do it yourself. You cannot undress yourself. It affects how much you feel you can eat, how much you can breathe, like the way that you walk, the way that you sit down. To be comfortable, you have to maneuver yourself in a way that a woman in 1896 wouldn't. Me in 2018, I was like, like didn't care.
Did they loosen it between takes, I hope? Or you're just like, that's a whole...
Truly, on the other side, your body does adapt and get used to it. So it wasn't that I needed it to be loosened. It was some of the outerwear. It was like I would need a break from the collars and the ties and the sleeves. But it made me think a lot about also like the privacy that a woman didn't have. Like they had to. Getting dressed in the morning, like, that should be done by yourself, right? Like, getting undressed like that, that's like a private moment. That wasn't possible. It just felt like eyes are on them all the time. But for me as an actor, I do, however, feel very lucky to have worn the costumes because from a costume perspective, they were some of the most beautiful I think I'll probably ever wear. The detail was insane.
How long does it take to lace a corset?
Well, eventually you get it down to you don't have to relace it. Like once you get it, you can just loosen it a little bit, and then there are hooks in the front, so you can just like pop it off. I became an absolute expert at knowing exactly what I could take off and when, and exactly how much time it would take to put back on. And when they were like, "And Dakota's done for the day," it was like a little trail of clothes that were being
and you see all the reality stars like promoting these corsets when they work
I got waist trained.
Waist training, yes.
Yeah, I got waist trained.
Yeah.
But I won't be doing that. I won't be doing
on the regular.
it on the regular. No, not for me.
With every role that you take, it's typically, or just as a person, every job you take, you usually want to be challenged more than you had in the previous job you had. In what ways did The Alienist challenge you as an actor? Was it simply like staying with the character for 10 episodes, or what other ways?
I think that the most obvious way was staying with the character for that long, and making sure that in each episode she progressed somehow, that, you know, or that she took us, you know, that there was movement, whether it was forward or backwards, that we saw her evolving in some way. And then also just like literally as an actor, keeping track of all of that when you know, towards the end the schedule gets crazier and crazier and you are jumping around so much and you're dealing. So the first 3 episodes are the same director, 4 and 5 are the same, 6 and 7 are the same, you know, but it's still the director is like everything to an actor.
Right.
Their energy is so important and sets such a tone, and so you're moving into different energies, and you know, that's a challenge. We were all very lucky that we worked with great people, and but it's still, there are differences, and so the actors are the constant, you know, and then kind of other pieces around us would change, and you have to kind of be a little bit more fluid than you have to be on a film. I felt, but it was exciting to me to do that, and yeah, I liked pushing myself in that way. It was fun. It was fun.
Well, let's travel back in time to one of your first, not only major roles, but your first introduction to TV, which was appearing on ER.
Yes.
And we talked earlier, like, I'm doing a rewatch and you
So
revealed
am
you
I.
are. What season are you on?
Season 3.
I'm on 9.
Oh,
Hurry
jeez.
up.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, so I started.
You have a tighter schedule than me, though.
No, but it is. I remember like being, even before I was on the show. I mean, I was on the show, like barely, but I was on it, and it was my first. I had done commercials before that, but it was my first television appearance.
And you like have a neck brace?
I had a neck brace.
Car accident.
I was in a car accident. My character's name was Delia, and through being in the car accident, they reveal that my leukemia has come back. My best memory from doing that was all of the medical stuff that they gave me.
What do you mean?
They gave me the neck brace. They gave me the tubes and the breathing tubes. They gave me fake syringes, gauze, all this stuff. And my sister and I played with those fake medical props for so many years to come. I can't even tell you. And I thought that was like, my mom and I were like, this is so nice. Like, they gave us like bags of like gowns, like, and my sister and I would like do surgeries, and that was like a dream come true to me, because I loved, when I was little, I mean, that's the reason that my mom was like, well, maybe she should act, because the only thing I was interested in doing was playing make-believe around the house, but I didn't like toys. Like, if I had a baby doll, I wanted a bottle that you would buy for a real baby. Like, I didn't want the kids, like, stuff.
And you wanted a neck brace.
So the medical gear, that was a real neck brace. It wasn't like, you know, I don't know if anybody remembers, like, the Band-Aids that were plastic.
Yeah. No.
I wasn't being fooled by that. Like, that, I wanted a real Band-Aid.
How old were you? You were like
6.
6.
Yeah.
So you're lying on your back, and the actors are all right here. What do you remember about filming that?
Well, Maura Tierney was in the scene,
Yeah.
so I remember that. And I wasn't like a religious watcher of ER at 6, but my
How
mom,
dare you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But my mom was. So it would be a show that I knew the name of and I would kind of see in passing. So I was excited, like I recognized that green trauma room, you know, and like Maura Tierney, and remember the nurse Haley? Like,
Yes.
who doesn't remember Haley? She's like on it the whole time. So like she stood out to me of seeing her. Yeah.
Did you have any moments with Noah Wiley? Like,
I don't think I did. I
backstage?
think I saw some people, some actors on their off time, like playing basketball in the sort of ambulance bay. And I want to say it was
hallmark of
Noah.
the show.
I know. I want to say that it was Noah Wiley, but I can't be 100% about that.
So you're 3 seasons in.
3 seasons.
Who's your favorite?
Dr. Mark Green.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously.
Okay, we're good. Do you still have the medical stuff? Does your mom still have it?
No.
Don't tell me you threw it away.
Well, I mean, it was like the neck brace, I'm telling you, like the part that would touch your face, like got black.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it got very dirty. Like it became gray and like it was time to go. I'm 24. This was now like
I would have so bought that from you. I would have bought like that
Maybe it's
treasure.
somewhere in a storage unit.
One other thing I want to ask you about, you're in Ocean's 8. What was it like being on that set?
You know,
did you have any scenes with Kylie and Kim?
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I think I could probably say that I didn't. I don't know. I am in such a small part of the film, and I think the only reason that people know that I'm in the film is because there was like a paparazzi
shot
that filmed that took a picture of me like on the set. But as a fan, I'm so excited I'm excited for the film to come out just as a fan of all of those actresses and of like the Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun to be a part of. But I keep getting asked about it. I'm like, if I spilled the beans
Lay
on
it
something,
up.
like go, I
For
know,
Ocean's
right?
9, that won't be the case.
Yeah, there you go.
We're gonna do a lightning round of questions.
Okay.
Oh wait, we have some social questions if you don't mind.
No.
George from Facebook asks, oh my God, I love this movie too. What is your favorite I Am Sam memory?
Oh my God, my favorite. Well, I turned 7 on the set of I Am Sam, so my like birthday party was probably my favorite memory. Michelle Pfeiffer like decorated my trailer in the morning, and like I was in her trailer. She like gave me all these presents, like so they made it so special. And then I went to lunch, into the big lunchroom, and everyone was in there, and like I had. At the time, like the biggest cake I've ever, it was like the biggest cake I'd ever seen. Everyone sang me happy birthday. It was fun.
You had no idea that Sean Penn would be involved with El Chapo then, right?
He was singing me happy birthday, holding a big cake.
You had no idea. Another question, this one from Twitter. Can you tell us anything about the Bell Jar?
I can say, it's still in the early stages of development. There's not too much like hard factual information that I'm allowed to say at the moment, but it's not on the back. It's very much on my front burner personally. And I love the story, and I just want to, I want to be that to be shared with the world in a new way.
All right, we're going to do lightning rounds.
Okay.
And maybe we already answered this, but maybe there's another option. What was the last show you binge watched? In full, like that you completed?
Queer Eye.
Yes. This is a common one. If you could go back and be on any TV show ever, what would it be?
Will and Grace. I was on Friends, so Will and Grace.
Will and Grace. What's a show you watch to unwind?
Any Real Housewives.
What's your favorite franchise?
Beverly Hills.
Good answer. What do you know now that you wish you knew on your first acting job?
What do I know? Oh, I wish I thought that the light meter it's like, it looks like a remote and there's like a white ball and they hold it up next to your face. I thought that there was a camera in it, so every time they would hold it up to my face, I would smile. I wish I knew I didn't have to do that.
When did you realize it wasn't that?
I learned pretty quickly, but probably definitely on my first job, I was like.
Have you ever been fired from an acting job?
Not to my knowledge. Not that I know of.
Which Golden Girls character do you most identify with? Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, Sophia.
I hope Blanche.
Yeah. We all do, right?
Yeah, that's the dream.
That's the dream. Well, Dakota, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And to all of you, thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more of our Emmy chats, head over to latimes.com. Thanks.
Thanks.